All right, 1212 in the place to be. What's up, y'all? I'm Frank Red. This is another edition of the In the Dungeon program, live and direct. I want to thank y'all off the top for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited because we got a lot to talk about. We are coming off what I would call a historic fight last night between Terrace Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. I was thinking to myself, I said, if you're under 40, you haven't had many incredible fights that you'll be talking about 20 years from now. I think if you're over 40, then yeah, you've had more than your share. But last night was a nice one to add to the collection. Both fighters came in undefeated, and one left with a loss, and that was Errol Spence Jr. And we'll get into it, but I can't say I'm the biggest boxing fan in the world, but I show up for the big one. And I have a historical perspective on the sport that I respect so much. But it's hard for me to differentiate what takes place in the ring versus all of the other variables that are associated with boxing. Rarely does boxers get an opportunity to kind of ride up into the sunset with a lot of money, a lot of acclaim, and a sense that they got everything from the sport that they were supposed to get. Rarely does that happen, and that kind of takes me back a little bit because I love sports, but at the professional level, I'm just interested in all the other aspects of it. But you looked at it before I came on air, and you don't know if it's true or not, but it says that Bud Crawford's only worth $8 million and Errol Spence Jr. is worth $7 million. Not a whole lot of money, comparatively speaking. But we're going to keep it to what took place in the ring last night, and it was just an execution by Bud Crawford. I predicted him to win. I certainly did not expect to see what I saw last night. All right. If you saw the fight, you have any comments on it, you want to talk about it, certainly let your voice be heard in the comment section. I'm going to say what's up to my man Romo, checking in early. Good evening, Frank. I missed the Tyson fight. He's always entertaining. He was a bulldog. Yes, he was. I mean, Tyson theoretically could have gone down as one of the most storied, one of the greatest of all time. I think he's among the best. He might have the most unique career of any boxer, but how his boxing career ended, I don't think you would consider him to be among the best. At his peak, I can't imagine anybody being more ferocious, but there were a lot of talented boxers when you go back the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And Tyson certainly was one of the more interesting and devastating boxers that we have seen in history, no doubt about that. So we're going to talk about that particular fight. I think you would have to say right now that Terrace Crawford is on the top of the boxing world, and for good reason. What a tactician. He kind of reminds me of Bernard Hopkins and Marvin Hagler combined. And some of you haven't seen those guys fight. Go to YouTube, look at Bernard Hopkins, and look at marvelous Marvin Hagler. What's his name? He actually changed his name. So we're going to talk about the boxing match a little bit. We're also going to talk a little NFL. A lot of things are happening in NFL camps. All of them are open. In Northern California, I talked about it before. The 49ers quarterback situation is like all my children, the young and the restless. Pick your favorite soap opera in the afternoon. Never you put on pass yet. And, that's the big story. Who's going to play quarterback for the 49ers? How well is player X playing versus player B versus player Y? I can't wait till they put on pads and start playing people so we can digest this stuff on our own and draw some conclusions about what we see. And that might not have anything to do with who starts. I really don't care who starts at this point. I look at all three guys in the 49ers camp, Trey Lance, Sam Donald, and Purdy as starters. I really do. And it's going to be up to Shanahan to decide who ultimately leads the first team when the season starts. We can talk about it if you're not interested. Sean Payton blew a gasket talking about the former head coach of the Denver Nuggets, of the Denver Broncos, Nathaniel Hackett. And it wasn't necessary. It wasn't professional. But Sean Payton did it because he could do it. Because he got a wheelbarrow full of money from the Walmart folks, and he wanted to flex. So he did, and he came out a couple of days later and kind of apologized. I shouldn't have done it. Yeah, we know this. I don't like bad apologies. I don't. Just move forward. I mean, let the football game take place. I think it's week 5 they play. Strap it up and let the play speak. Because no one else is going to care. At that point, we're only be watching football. What someone said the 3rd or 4th practice in August, no one's going to really care about that. All right? The women, our USA World Cup soccer team takes on Portugal tomorrow night. What did it say? 9 p.m. or 12 a.m.? Not quite sure. But they play tomorrow night, and they're coming off a game against the Netherlands that was not great, a 1-1 tie. And there's been a lot of comments from veteran players with regards to what they would like to see. For example, substituting more players. They only made 1 sub in the last game. I got some interesting feelings about that because it was a tough battle. And as a coach, sometimes you're trying to build continuity and you're hesitant to make subs. That's why, like in the NBA playoffs, they don't play a lot of subs. They really don't. 8-man rotation. I think we'll see more tomorrow from the women. This is game 3. Fatigue might be setting in a little bit. I think that you owe it to the talented players on the bench to have an opportunity to show what they can do as well. So I think that you will see more subs, but I understand the juxtaposition that the coach was in, which takes place. Also, one of my childhood idols and somebody who I have the utmost respect for, Julius Erving, NBA champion of the Philadelphia 76ers in 1983. A gentleman who grew up in my hometown of Hempstead, New York. Doc is flexing a little bit and speaking his mind about the state of the game. And I love it because, obviously you didn't have social media when Dr. J was playing back in the 80s. But he was more of an ambassador of the game anyway. He wasn't the guy to kind of step out there and speak his mind on controversial topics. But that's not holding him back now. He has some strong feelings about, as he said, the quote, I wouldn't say animals, but the players running the asylum. I'll go with that. As I paraphrase what he said, he's basically saying the players have too much power, and the player movement that the players have now in the NBA is actually hurting the game. That's how Dr. J feels. I'll comment as we get into the show about that. There was a couple of clips over the past couple of days of Bronny James. I won't speak to his health condition, but he's starting to get back to some sense of normalcy. I can't really define what that is, but they had a clip of him playing the piano in his house, in his home, I assume. He's going out to get dinner with his dad, and you know, I don't know what's going to turn out. Again, I really don't want to speculate. It wouldn't surprise me if he did not start the season with USC, based on how they handled a heart problem with a player from last year who took 6 months. So I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about it. I'm just happy that he appears to be on the road to recovery, and I'll leave it at that. I didn't talk about it last time also, but I thought it was interesting. Adam Silver sent out a memo to all 30 NBA teams basically saying that any player or agent who calls up any organization in the NBA speaking to whether or not a player would allegedly, I don't know if he said play hard, but just speaking to the fact that they don't want to play in a certain location, that could have some effect on their, well, maybe not their contract, but they could be fined. I think is what Adam Silver said. And I'm just like, it's been happening for a long period of time. It's interesting that it came out after Dr. J kind of voiced his opinion. I'm sure it's some veteran players who might feel the same way. I'll say this. As a retired player, when you see the money that these young players are making now in the NBA, it's hard not to be a little jealous. Even if you are the most sincere advocate of the NBA, if you are a player, let's not even talk about being a great player, a Hall of Famer, and you see the money that these guys are making now, it's tough not to be jealous. It really is. And it wouldn't surprise me if some of them are. Larry Bird, to me, has the best stance of any former great player. And Larry Bird was awesome. Larry Bird always focuses his energy on what's happening on the court. He doesn't talk about anything associated with players off the court. You know, he focuses on the development of the game. And I respect that because it's hard. It really is hard. But I think as a veteran player, you simply have to take solace in the fact that, you know, the players who are able to make $50 million a year, obtain $300 million contracts, they would not have done that if it was not for the efforts of the former players. But I had a thought. And then I started thinking to myself, has player movement really hurt the game? It's a bad look. But has it hurt the game? I don't know if it's hurt the game. I don't think there's any definitive evidence that would say that it has hurt the game. Not the best look. I mean, we certainly didn't see that in the past. When you look at the Chicago Bulls, Jordan was drafted by the Bulls. Scottie Pippen was drafted by the Bulls. He was drafted by Seattle and then traded to the Bulls for Odin Polynice. But his rookie year, his first indoctrination into the NBA was with the Chicago Bulls. Horace Grant was drafted by the Chicago Bulls. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you can't win a championship with your own players. I think the biggest issue that I have goes back with the OKC Thunder. Kevin Durant was a free agent and had the ability to sign with the Golden State Warriors. He did that. Not that big a deal with me, but I would have loved to have seen him stay from OKC, win a championship the following year, and then if he wanted to leave, then go ahead and leave. But to be down 3-1, and if you go back and you watch the tape, I think he and Russell Westbrook did a lot to help the Golden State Warriors snatch victory from the mouths of the OKC Thunder. KD did not play well in Game 6. He did not play well. And neither did Russell Westbrook, particularly like the last 5 minutes of the game. And what transpired after that, I didn't like. That's the only problem I have with it. With regards to Damian Lillard, I have no problem with Damian Lillard wanting out of Portland. I don't. And I'm gonna tell you why. When you are the caliber of player as a Damian Lillard, excuse me, and you sign a contract for $50 million, you are not only an employee, but you are a partner at that point. And I think it's incumbent upon you to do everything that you can do in an exemplary fashion to help that organization, because you're partners in business. How was you going to pay a $50 million salary? And because they're partners, I think that you really need to look out for each other. And the general manager of Portland, he's new in his position. He doesn't want to be a laughingstock. He doesn't want to make a bad move. But can you tell me a time in which a superstar player in the NBA was traded and the team that traded that superstar ever got equal value back? I can't think of a trade in which someone got equal value. Even look at the Kawhi Leonard trade to San Antonio. I'm sorry. The Kawhi Leonard trade to the Toronto Raptors. San Antonio got a good player in DeRozan. You got Jakob Poeltl. But everybody knew at that point Kawhi Leonard was going to dramatically impact the championship prospects of the Toronto Raptors. And he did. And at this point, if Portland can get Tyler Hero, bring him in and then move him. That's a good player. He probably doesn't have a long-term status with the Portland Trailblazers if they brought him in. Now, he's not a long-term two-guard for them, but it doesn't mean you can't flip him. He's a good player. But if you got 2 first-round draft picks, Duncan Robinson, I mean, maybe you don't want him. I don't know. But I think at some point it's going to hit the fan, right? And the idea of Damian Lillard going back to Portland and kind of dusting his hands up in the air like everything's okay and let's go play the season now, I don't see that happening. And if I am another NBA team, in spite of what Adam Silver says in his memo, do you want a $50 million player in your organization who doesn't want to be there? I don't think you do. My name is Frank Red, everybody. What's up? How y'all feel out there? Hit me up in the comment section if you have any thoughts on some of the topics that I have introduced in the first 19, 20 minutes of the show. Or if you have some other topics that you want to talk about that I have not mentioned, feel free to voice your opinion, voice your thoughts in the comment section. I'm going to say one thing, and I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, but if you are a New York Yankees fan, you can't even passionately argue or voice your opinion about how bad they are, because they're not good. It's pathetic. It's like the 1970s, man. The early 70s. They are bad. And Judge, I mean, he's one guy. The prospects of them getting much better and rallying, I don't see it. I really don't. I mean, think about this. On July 30th, 2023, on the cusp of the trade deadline, did you think that the San Francisco Giants would have a definitively better record than the New York Yankees? If you raised your hand and said, yeah, you're probably holding the $1 billion lotto ticket. Because nobody saw this coming. Nobody. And, the Giants have taken a lot of hits, particularly earlier in the year. But I got to think the Giants are one of the best stories in Major League Baseball. And I'm not jumping on the bandwagon like I'm some super Giant fan. I'm not, but I pay attention. I do pay attention. And I thought they'd be 500. Because in baseball, if you play fundamental defense, timely hitting, you got a great home crowd, you got a chance of winning 81 games. Maybe you can do a little better than that, 85 games. But the Giants have really shut a lot of people up by how well they played. They've ejected a bunch of young players that, unless you really follow them closely, not many people even knew that they had within their organization. And Gabe Kapler's taking a lot of hits. He still takes hits. Even though he's a winning manager, people beat him up. For some reason, that I could beat him up. I would say he's done a pretty darn good job. So I follow Dusty Baker. Dusty's my guy. I want to see the Houston Astros do well. Cincinnati Reds has been somewhat exciting this year. De La Cruz is a flat-out star. But I'm not an avid baseball fan. I play baseball, I like it, but the business of baseball to me, again, rubs me the wrong way. When I look at one of the teams that I did follow, that I did care about, how the Oakland A's season has gone and how they have been treated by Major League Baseball, it kind of rubbed me, the wrong way a little bit. So, number one topic that we're talking about now is the convincing ninth-round knockout that Terrace Crawford obtained over Errol Spence Jr. And the loser of the fight has a clause that allows them to have a rematch. You can initiate a rematch. The Target Center was packed in Vegas. All the stars were out. Stephen A. Smith was all over it. Showtime was all over it. And it was an event. I went up to my boy's house who bought the fight. There was another cat there named Frank also, ironically. And I made the food. I think to yourself, what did you bring? What did you make? Thanks to my mother. Like I've said before, I can handle myself around the kitchen. I'll just say that. But I made one of my go-tos. Turkey and sausage lasagna with spinach. And I came off, right? People like it. So, even when you know you can cook and you make something that's really, really good, you're kind of peeking out of your eye to see when people eat it to see if they actually like it. And that's how I was last night. I thought that, I made it 1,000 times. I know it was good, but I got rave review, and that was a nice accompaniment to the actual fight. So we all had a great time. The fact that I was checking out with my boy, pretty cool as well. So I'm interested in getting your thoughts. You guys have any thoughts on the fight? Or were you watching something else? Do you not care about boxing? What's the deal? Because that was an event. I don't know if they should have a rematch right away. I would think that if it does happen within, I guess it has to happen within a year. but Errol Spence Jr. took a beating. But the fight was very, very successful monetarily. I would love to see both guys make a lot of money, step back in the ring. That might even be the number one reason to do it. To help support the boxing industry. I know there was a big MMA fight last night as well. I saw that devastating kick. So maybe you guys are MMA fans. I'm not quite sure. But I was thoroughly pleased with what I saw last night. I saw a bit of humanity in the ring from Crawford. Errol Spence Jr. I thought was a gracious loser. He did a wonderful interview with Jim Gray. Answered some tough questions. And that made me like a bigger boxing fan last night. Because you don't always see that level of professionalism or that level of humanity from the guy who wins the fight. And if you didn't know Terrace Crawford, I think that he probably gained a lot of fans last night who were avid boxing fans, but just avid fans of sports. So I want to big him up, man, because I thought that, there were times in that fight in which he really could have gone for it and put Spence away. And he didn't do that. He took his opportunities and he punished him, but I think he could have really, really hurt him last night. Mark Gray says, I don't watch boxing anymore. Don King ruined it for me. I get it. But you know what? Don King's way, he's history, dude. I would say if you like boxing, then watch that particular fight because you saw one of the best fighters in the world last night, if not the best, in Terrace Crawford. He was awesome. He really was. But I get you done, deal. Kind of speaks to what I said at the beginning of the program, where it's hard for me to be a boxing fan and not consider all of the variables associated with boxing, primarily like the business part of it. So I get it, but if you are a boxing fan minus Don King, check that fight out. Pretty dope. SG, thank you for checking in, brother. Big up to you. Wow. Really appreciate you, brother. You got a cabano set. Boxing needed that particular fight also because I would say that MMA is actually more popular than boxing right now. Boxing, number one, MMA is more active. They put on more events. And this new generation of sports fans seemingly like MMA better. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, every week there is an event somewhere, not only in the United States, but around the world that's selling out. I didn't watch the MMA fight last night because I was watching the boxing match. But I can only assume in Utah it was a big hit. If you, no pun intended. But if you saw it last night and you want to comment on it, feel free to do that because I actually didn't see it. Top 5 WWE wrestlers. You gotta educate me, dude. I don't watch WWE. Last time I watched it, I was actually in a bar when they had like this super event, Thank you, Mark. SG, you can't dance, can you, dude? You got bad timing, man, sometimes. I'm a horrible dancer. And sometimes some of your comments is like, whoa. You step on your date's foot or something, man? I want to hear do this for us. Give me one solid sports take that you have right now. Give me one. Give me one. So you can get back to even. All right. We were talking about boxing. We were talking about MMA, and you said top 5 WWE wrestlers. Yeah. You got to come back, man. One topic I think everybody can relate to. Do you think player movement has hurt the NBA and is hurting the game now and moving forward? How do you feel about that? You know, how do you feel about it? And I want you to look at it from multiple perspectives. And because teams would trade players in a second, doesn't matter. SG, I'm playing with you, man. Listen, dude, you show up and check me out whenever I have a show. I thoroughly appreciate you. I'm just having fun with you, man. It's all good. I'm still waiting for the take, though. Still waiting for your take. Yeah, I mean, when you look at it from both perspectives, organizations trade players all the time when it works for them, you know. And if you had every player deciding that they wanted to leave when they wanted to leave, then no, you wouldn't have a league. You would not. I mean, it would fall apart, I believe. But when you look at the superstar players, the 5%ers, the 10%ers who really drive the league, you got to convince me that it has been bad for the league. I mean, for instance, if LeBron James doesn't go to the Lakers and the Lakers are not competitive, I think the Warriors are still the most popular team on the West Coast. And I think that you would even say that based on how much the Warriors are worth. The Lakers are still one of the top organizations on sports, but the Warriors are right there. But it's important to the NBA that the Lakers are good. Mark Gray says, if guys in the NBA want to choose where they want to go, sign shorter contracts. This demanding to go to a certain team is not good. Yeah, Mark, logically, I think you make a lot of sense. But there's a few players in the league that even at the top of the salary scale, they're still underpaid. You know, so you would not have the stability in the league. You know, salary caps, you really couldn't use salary caps the way they use them now. Now they actually work because the top players get paid less than what they're really worth. I mean, can you imagine what Steph Curry would be worth on the open market? You know, but I get it though. I do understand where you're coming from. But players, particularly really, really good players, they are defined in many respects by how many championships they win. This is Damian Lillard's 11th year. It's going to be his 12th year. All of the scoring accolades, all of the goodwill that he's done in Portland, it's going to mean a lot. He's a future Hall of Famer. But without him going to at least an NBA final, you know, so you got to look at it from his perspective. I do understand he took the money. He didn't have to do that. It would have been easier for him to leave had he not gotten the financial stability. But I think both parties benefited from Damian Lillard signing a big contract because no organization is going to pay you money that they don't feel they can get back. I think Portland's done pretty well during the tenure of Damian Lillard. Trey Lance is QB1, Brock Purdy is QB2. SD, do you not have a television? Are you just making stuff up? You're cracking up the people in the comment section, dude. That this is your quarterback room chart. This is your quarter. At this point, with Trey Lance to me has handled this thing so well. You know, I put out a tweet yesterday. I know you are. I know you're making it up. But give me a real take. SD, give me something real. Give me something that you thought about in the sports world that you thought, pretty hard about, and you want to put it out there. All right, I want to hear your take. When I look at Trey Lance, I see Daniel Jones. Tell me I'm wrong. The guy who just signed for $160 million of the New York Football Giants. I kept reading all of this stuff about how Trey Lance wasn't this, and he wasn't that, and he can't do this. So you know what I did? I just randomly looked at a couple of his college highlight tapes. There's so much tape out there on Trey Lance from when he was at North Dakota State. So much. And guess what? He actually looks better now. He had even more of a hitch in his throwing arm when he was in college. Even more. But he could put the ball in an area where an open receiver could catch it. But where he really, really excelled is running the football. Kind of like a Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is not going to throw the ball more than 30 times, more than, I'll say 12 games this year. 40 times? Maybe like 2 or 3 times. Mark says the problem, we haven't seen enough of Trey to know if he's going to be good or not. Yeah, but if you listen to, the reporters on television, you listen to podcasts, they meticulously monitor how this guy's doing. Now they do it to all of the quarterbacks also. They do it to all of them. But I'm with you. We haven't seen enough of him to really decide if the guy can play or not. But what I'm saying is that what you see is what you get. When you put his tape on in college, it looks a lot like it does now. But I think he's a better passer. I'm sure he has more of an understanding, a comprehension of a professional offense, particularly with Kyle Shanahan, who runs a very complex offense. But this idea that he's somehow gone from a top-notch prospect to somebody who is maybe not even capable of playing professional football, to me is a farce. I don't believe it. Now, my man Larry Kruger, good friend of mine, he put some information out there. I think he got it from somebody else. I'm not quite sure, but I monitor his stuff pretty closely. And what he said, and this was like, wow, to me about the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers allegedly, this is what Cal said. It's not allegedly. Cal Shanahan said that as an organization, the fact that Trey Lance was drafted as the number 3 pick didn't necessarily mean that's how he was rated by the organization. What it meant was they wanted to have a really good quarterback on a rookie contract. That's kind of an out-of-the-box type of way of looking at things. But essentially, they said, if we draft a talented quarterback that we can develop on a rookie contract, that would benefit us more than having a Jimmy G making $15 to $20 million a year. Logically, that makes sense. It's unorthodox. And I got that from Larry Kruger, who's in the mix. He's down there every day. So he's definitely somebody who is close to that organization. But that was the first moment of enlightenment about Trey Lance. So that said, to me, they had a top pick. Maybe if they had the 15th pick, they would have drafted him 15th. And he would have been viewed totally different than somebody who was drafted with the number 3 pick. But that was an interesting insight on how the 49ers think and how they value Trey Lance. So that opens up a larger conversation, and the emphasis is not on this guy was a number 3 draft pick. He was allegedly the 3rd best player in the NFL coming out of college. We're looking at things totally different now. Hello, Vicky. Hi, Frank. The main reason we love the Warriors is they have kept the main core together. I want the main 3 to retire as Warriors. Yeah, I do too. I thank you for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate that. That's why it's really, really important that Klay Thompson has one of his better years than he's had in the past 5 and 7. I don't see Klay making $43 million next year if he has a phenomenal season. They're going to be respectful, just like they were with Draymond, $25, $30 million, somewhere like that. I think the Warriors probably move forward with that. But $43 million, I don't see that happening. I would love to see all of those guys retire and go to the Warriors. The Rocky Mountain Razorback. I love it. That's silly crap to me, honestly. Why would you want a cheap quarterback who can't beat out QBG? Rocky Mountain, guess what? You have the right to your opinion. And it's unorthodox, right? It's unorthodox. But it's kind of goofy logic, but sometimes goofy logic works. And I credit the 49ers for coming out and saying, this is what we were thinking. Now, to speak to your point, why are you going to pay somebody that might be valued as a 15th or 20th pick a salary equivalent to a top 3 draft pick? I haven't quite wrapped my mind around that. Maybe they thought he was going to get there. I have no idea. So, I think that they put together a pretty good narrative at this point that they can give to the public. And who's to say that it's not true? But I think that you and others who would say, I want more of a fundamental approach as to how we build this team. You could say that also. But I get having a quarterback who is really capable of a cheap contract. Think about Brock Purdy. What is Brock Purdy's maybe making $1 million a year. And he's the starter? He's the guy who everybody's gushing over. Maybe Hargrove is not on the 49ers this year if you're paying a quarterback $20 million a year. And think about it. It's not absurd to pay these quarterbacks these exorbitant salaries, regardless of their impact on the team. Rocky Mountain, check this out. The 49ers might have opened a can of worms or spilled the beans on a philosophy that some other teams are going to employ. Essentially, that's what the Baltimore Ravens did with Lamar Jackson. That's what they did. They did the same thing. They took a guy who they drafted at 32, right? Found out that he could play, swung him out over a 3 or 4 year period until they had to pay him. It didn't necessarily help them because they were above average and they went to the playoffs and stuff, but they were not, I don't think, a Super Bowl contender. But from a business perspective, it actually might have worked. So, just can't stop thinking what this team would have been with 3 more first-round picks. Okay. Maybe we could have the replacement for McGlinchey, all right, on the roster, and more depth on the D line. They gave up a lot to get Trey Lance. But, I mean, let's be honest. Their defense is ferocious. And the 49ers they're rivaling the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now the newfound KC Chiefs as organizations who draft better. And I'm not surprised because John Lynch is one of the smartest executives in the NFL, and he was one of the toughest players to play in the NFL. So they draft like the Baltimore Ravens. They draft like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They generally don't miss. So we could talk about having 3 first-round draft picks for the 49ers, and the 49ers are like, give me a third and a fourth, and I'll find a top 30 player. I'll find a starter. So I think that there's more than a simple reason to question their thinking with regards to Trey Lance. But when you look at the overall outcome of the 49ers, they've done everything except win a Super Bowl. They really have. And, my take on Kyle Shanahan is this. Is he a good coach? Absolutely. Is he a very good coach? Absolutely. Is he a great coach? I don't know. Great coaches win championships. They find a way. And the minute that the 49ers win a Super Bowl, then I think Kyle Shanahan is anointed to one of those guys. But the idea that a player has to fit so meticulously into a coach's offense without any modification based on what their natural ability is, I don't agree with that. I'm a coach. That's the one thing I love about Bill. Bill Parcells is my favorite coach of all time. Bill Parcells sometimes plays sandlot football en route to winning Super Bowls. He coaches players up. I keep going back to the Dallas Cowboys against the San Francisco 49ers last year in the playoffs. Let me tell you something. I believe if Bill Parcells was coaching Dallas last year, they win that game. And I'm going to tell you why. That interception that Dak Prescott threw in that small window that the 49ers intercepted when they had a field goal in the bag or maybe a touchdown. He would have never thrown that ball if Bill Parcells was coaching. Never. And I think that's why McCarthy was like, tell him, well, you got to go, dude. That's not conventional football. I think sometimes you can take a guy who's not great. Trent Dilfer. Now, Trent Dilfer is a beautiful football mind. And he was an excellent college player at Fresno State, first-round draft pick, all of that. And I think he's going to be a pretty good football coach at UAB as well. But when he won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, he was not a great NFL quarterback at that point. And yet he still won. They can't take it from him. When you introduce Trent Dilfer at the local lodge, they start off with Super Bowl winning quarterback Trent Dilfer. So I mean, like a lot of this talk about Dak Prescott, and he's going to throw less interceptions, and he's going to be much better. And Dak kind of plays along. For once I want Dak to say, listen, what if I just get out of my face? Leave me alone. Watch me play. Because I tell you right now, the number of tough catches that his receivers caught for him last year, you could count on one hand. You know how many tough balls Michael Erving caught for Troy Aikman? About 1,000. About 1,000. Think about the game that Dallas lost. Was that the Jacksonville? I don't remember. The ball goes through the guy's hands. You know, the defense gets it and runs it for a touchdown. Come on, man. Rocky Mountain says, great coaches take advantage of teams with weaknesses. Look how teams use the running QBs against us and set up the rush to overpower the right side of the line when they have to make a stop. All right, you're getting inside baseball a little bit. You clearly know your football. I'm talking more about, just generalities in terms of what I see. Oh, did I miss your comment? SG, put it up there again. Let me see it. I'm exhausted with this Trey Lance stuff. I'm tired of it, man. And he said, I'm having a good time battling for the number 2 position. Now, you guys know that was BS, right? You don't believe that. Do you believe that? Does anybody believe that? Trey Lance is being schooled very, very well, probably by his parents and his agent. Know why? This dude is not taking one salary cut. This dude is making a salary equivalent to a top 3 draft pick. He's going to play along. I give him all the credit in the world. Oh, yes. I'm really excited about battling for the number 2 position with the 49ers. We don't believe you. You need more people. That's a Jay-Z line, by the way. That's key. As a 49ers fan, like I said, I don't know why people back to Trey Lance and have to first let him develop before criticizing him as an athlete. That's the mentality I believe in. All right. So the reporters who are at practice, they have to comment on what they see, right? And if they see him, Trey Lance, not throwing the football well or missing a play call or whatever the case, they're just reporting it. I get it. But I think that there is a way. Why don't start off sometimes with what he did well as opposed to what he didn't do well? I'm not telling them how to do their job. But my point is, it doesn't mean a whole lot now until they start playing games. And if Trey Lance is going to be on the football field, I think that you have to incorporate more of a running offense with him until he gets up to speed or he gets to a point where you're comfortable with his accuracy. Because I don't ever think Trey Lance is going to be the most accurate quarterback. I just don't believe it. He had a horrible hitch in college when he was drafted number 3 overall. He's moved it out a little bit. I think he can be a good NFL player, but he's not going to be Drew Brees anytime soon. I don't believe that. No, man says, no, I agree with you. But if I can see the problem, the cats that are paid to watch, yeah, I get it. I'm just ready to see some football, man. The NFL preseason is the longest of any of the major 3 sports without actually playing. And here's the deal. These guys used to have double practices. They can do 2-a-days. By by the time camp was over, these guys were just like, you know what, I am done. So it's a lot easier now. But for people who love football, and hey, I can talk basketball until I'm blue in the face. That's not half of the interest. Not even, well, maybe half. Probably less than that. That's half. That's less than half of the market that love football. We love football as a nation. We really do. And I think aesthetically, just watching it on television, it's real easy. You know, the televisions are getting bigger. You got 75-inch screens. You know, you got the bathroom right at the house. You know, you make your food, you order it in. It's just an incredible experience to watch football. And I think we're all just tired at this point. We can't wait to see games. So the guy who I'm most excited to watch play is Bryce Young. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I've never been more confident about a guy being well. Does that mean that Carolina is going to be in the playoffs this year? No, but I expect them to win 8 games. I expect them to win. But that's not half the games anymore. They play 17. I think Carolina's going to win 8 or 9 games. I think they're going to beat some teams that maybe you don't expect them to beat. They don't play in a great division. So maybe they might win. Who knows? I want to comment also about Taylor, Jonathan Taylor, the Colts. He has communicated to the Colts that he has some back stiffness, and maybe he can't play, because he's injured. And the Colts, Ertz allegedly is considering putting him on the player who can't perform list. I guess it's the partner. Player unable to perform. I guess that's what it is. And they could potentially hold his salary. Let me say this. The running backs are getting a raw deal. To me. Now, right, Ertz is the owner. Right. Now, your get back is not leaving money on the table. Just like Saquon Barkley. I give Saquon all the credit in the world because he's like, you know what? I'm not happy. I'm upset. But I'm not going to leave any money on the sidelines. I'm going to make every dime that I get. You got to respect that. They're in a bad situation. And I don't know how they're going to get out of it simply because they have a solid contract with the players into 2030. Maybe they can, drop out of it earlier. But for the foreseeable future, running backs are going to get screwed. But when you take a step back and you look at it and say, well, what am I making? Like allegedly, the Giants was willing to give Saquon $22, $23 million. And he probably deserves 40 or 50. But when we jump back into the real world, and these professional athletes look at it from a real world perspective, I mean, $22 million is $22 million. Whatever Taylor is making, I'm going to make all of that. And I'm going to work with my agent to maybe negotiate a trade or ingratiate myself more with the organization so I can get more money. But not playing or coming up with injuries, that's not going to work. You have no leverage. You have no bargaining power. okay, SG. SG works in Great America, everybody. You gonna hook people up? Excuse me. Yeah, you never know what's gonna move the needle. You guys you guys excited about our women's soccer team? I am. There's a lot of intrigue, because I don't get the sense that this team is real close simply because they don't really know each other. Good for you, SG. You get complimentary tickets to Great America. That's the least you should get, man. Good for you. They should have thrown you a couple Taylor Swift tickets in there, all right? That would have been nice, right? You would be in the front row, and then Taylor in the middle of her set would hone in on you and bring you up to the stage and do a little one-on-one dance like Bruce Springsteen did to the girl from Friends back in the day. That's what should have happened. I mean, all the hours you work at Great America, the least they could do is put you in front of Taylor Swift, right? She seems to be pretty diversified too in terms of the guys that she likes. I mean, she probably would have picked you, dude. As I digress, I'm talking about the women's soccer team. They got a world of pressure on them because they're expected to win. And from here on out, it's not going to be easy. They didn't do that. Well, Great America has to do better, man. They should have done that. They should have hooked you up with front row tickets. They should have took you out there and set you up in front of that little truck where they were selling all that expensive Taylor Swift merchandise. You could have brought you one of them cute little bracelets, for $39.99. A little Taylor Swift hat for $89. And then the grand finale, a t-shirt for, the real cheap price of $139.82. I would love to get a photo with the U.S. women's national team. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, actually. Yeah. Well, we'll find out if they can continue their reign tomorrow night against Portugal, who I guess is pretty darn good, but I think everybody would be shocked if the USA side didn't win. I'm watching these soccer games, right? I had an opportunity to watch it with the soccer aficionado expert. And I love the verbiage that they use in soccer, like on frame. Isn't that awesome? That kick was on frame. I love how they talk. The USA side looks well fit. I love how they have their little language, the lexicon. Pretty cool. Mark Graves, I just brought a McCaffrey jersey, $120. Yeah, man. Yeah. Good for you. I actually like Christian. That'd be tough for me though, about that. You must be a big time are you a big time 49er fan or are you a Christian fan? Or both? Alex Morgan is one of my favorite players in the USA team. Tell me why. I like Alex Morgan also, but I think, maybe it's not her fault. Maybe it's the marketing people, but they like to put her on television because she's a great player. She's a great player. Don't get me wrong. She's a great player, probably on the downside of her career. but she's very photogenic too. They like putting her on TV. She's a very attractive young lady, and I think that's part of her appeal. Oh, wow. 49er fan since John Brody days. I love it. I love it, man. Love it. Oh, yeah. Nil. I love that. Isn't nil another great word? Nil equals zero. I love it. They have like the coolest like phrases to describe the game. I think on frame and well fit. Soccer's the only like sport that is like politically correct to like talk about like a team being in shape. Such and such is well fit. I love it. I love it. I'm sure there's some other terms out there that I don't know about, but I'm just starting to really, kind of get into it. Alex Morgan has a great husband and a daughter, and living. You know her husband? Huh? I know she has a daughter. Now he's a soccer player too, right? Does he play soccer? Good for her. I'm happy for her. It'll be interesting to see how much she plays tomorrow night. She played a lot in game 1 and game 2. I think we're going to see some subs tomorrow. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Listen, y'all, I want to thank y'all for checking me out tonight. I really appreciate it. I had a good time. I thought we'd have a little more action on the boxing match last night, which was terrific. Servando Carrasco. Yeah. I knew that Alex Morgan was married. I did know that. And I'd seen her husband's name, but I didn't want to butcher it. Yeah, but I thought we'd have a lot more interaction on the boxing match, but that's okay. Maybe you guys were doing other things, or you were watching MMA, or you're just not that interested. It's all good. But I want to thank you for tuning into the program. Look forward to doing another one within the next couple of days. And I'm going to do my thing and get out of here. Success in getting paid is the manifestation of the whole process. If you're an individual, don't do things to help other people make their lives better. As far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. If you're new to the program and you have not subscribed to the In the Dungeon program, if you like what you're hearing and what you're seeing, hit the subscribe button. Either tell somebody, say, yo, I just checked this show out. In the Dungeon Show with Frank Red. Check it out. All right? If you don't follow me on Twitter, hit me up. I'm going to tell you something was crazy today on Twitter. I just randomly answered a question. Just randomly answered a question today. And not that I'm looking for it, because I don't, but I got 5 followers today just by answering a question. Kind of crazy. Good thing I'm not like a follower hog, or I'm not looking to just randomly get people to follow me. What happened was there was a connection between myself and the people who were looking at that particular question. So my point is, you never really know how that connection is going to be made. That's the point I'm making. All right? So keep that in mind. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see you the next time. Good night.